Those visiting the savanna of the Serengeti in the May dry season will see an unforgettable sight. There is a dark wave spreading through the green savanna. It is a grand parade of 1.5 million gnus. The gnus are migrating to the north. This 1,000-kilometer journey involves deadly risks and unavoidable deaths. This great migration has been repeated for 2.5 million years, and it is the most significant drama nature can create. Why have they been migrating for so long? There is only one reason animals hurry in this savanna. They are looking for food. Elephants have to move more often, as the gluttons usually spend 16 hours eating 180 kilograms of food a day. Grass covers the vast savanna, but it disappears as 2.5 million grass-eating animals pass by. In the dry season, 1.5 million gnus searching for water and fresh grass begin to migrate. This long journey begins in the savanna of Serengeti, Tanzania, and it continues for 4 months until they reach Masai Mara, Kenya. Unwelcome companions also join in the journey. They are the meat eaters that prey on gnus. If gnus lower their guard even for a moment, they will instantly turn into a lion's feast. A gnu looks like a slow animal, but it has excellent senses of sight and smell, typical of grass-eating animals, and they run fast. But these abilities don't always keep them out of danger. This gnu ran into a shrewd hunter, and it died a tragic death before beginning the journey. The lion is smacking its lips with the tenderest of the gnu's meat. The scorching sun is the enemy of all the animals. The dry season in the savanna is without a drop of rain. Puddles dried up, grasses are losing moisture. The zebra is continuously bathing in the dust to protect its skin from the hot sun. The savanna is burning without a bit of shade, but gnus keep marching forward silently, enduring the intense heat as hot as 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, there is only one thing that all animals hope for: water. Elephants, which drink about 200 liters of water a day. The king of all beasts, lions. Nothing can survive without water. The Grumeti River in the northern end of the Serengeti. This is the largest source of water in the northern savanna. After 2 months, the news arrived at the Grumeti River. Dark waves spreading through the green savanna. It is a grand parade of 1.5 million gnus. The gnus are migrating to the north. This 1,000-kilometer journey involves deadly risks and unavoidable deaths. This great migration has been repeated for 2.5 million years, and it is the most significant drama nature can create. Why have they been migrating for so long? There is only one reason animals hurry in this savanna. They are looking for food. Elephants have to move more often, as the gluttons usually spend 16 hours eating 180 kilograms of food a day. Grass covers the vast savanna, but it disappears as 2.5 million grass-eating animals pass by. In the dry season, 1.5 million gnus searching for water and fresh grass begin to migrate. This long journey begins in the savanna of Serengeti, Tanzania, and it continues for 4 months until they reach Masai Mara, Kenya. Unwelcome companions also join in the journey. They are the meat eaters that prey on gnus. If gnus lower their guard even for a moment, they will instantly turn into a lion's feast. A gnu looks like a slow animal, but it has excellent senses of sight and smell, typical of grass-eating animals, and they run fast. But these abilities don't always keep them out of danger. This gnu ran into a shrewd hunter, and it died a tragic death before beginning the journey. The lion is smacking its lips with the tenderest of the gnu's meat. The scorching sun is the enemy of all the animals. The dry season in the savanna is without a drop of rain. Puddles dried up, grasses are losing moisture. The zebra is continuously bathing in the dust to protect its skin from the hot sun. The savanna is burning without a bit of shade, but gnus keep marching forward silently, enduring the intense heat as hot as 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, there is only one thing that all animals hope for: water. Elephants, which drink about 200 liters of water a day. The king of all beasts, lions. Nothing can survive without water. The Grumeti River in the northern end of the Serengeti. This is the largest source of water in the northern savanna. After 2 months, the gnus arrived at the Grumeti River. The sound of gnus wailing in thirst. The Nile crocodiles in this river notice that it's time. The news ran and ran for days without drinking a drop of water. The smell of water is making them more impatient, but a sip of water can end their life. Elder experienced gnus are careful, but the young gnu, just born this year, doesn't know the danger yet. The sound of sipping alerts them. The gnus quickly crowd into the riverside. This is the very moment crocodiles have been waiting for. The first victim. It was a helpless young gnu. They know hungry young crocodiles are waiting for them, but gnus need water. The thirst is as desperate for them as the risk to their lives. A narrow escape from death, only possible for a strong mother gnu. As time goes by, more crocodiles come. With eyes on the top of their heads and the nostrils facing the sky, crocodiles can stalk their game very closely without being discovered. And when it catches a gnu, it drags it into the water to drown it. When the gnu dies, a savage carnival begins. Crocodiles bite the gnu and twist their bodies to tear up the gnu's flesh and bone. In a moment, the gnu is torn into pieces as the crocodiles continue to fight each other to have more meat. A crocodile has as many as 66 sharp teeth, but they are only good for biting. They can't chew well, and they swallow the entire bite of meat whole. The tail, which makes up about 40% of its body, is the source of its strength. They use the strength when they turn around, burst from the water, or catch a fish. The biggest one in the pack is the leader, and it always takes the best part, the head. But not all of the crocodiles have had enough. The crocodiles have waited for this moment all year round, surviving on little fish, and they are not easily satisfied. They take another youngling. Facing the deaths of their kin right before their eyes, gnus step back in fear. But patience doesn't last long because of the thirst. A fairly large gnu is caught by its ankle. Crocodiles pull their game into the water to drown the game. The gnu fights back, but is dragged into the water. In a minute or two, it will drown to death. The carcass of another gnu floating nearby stokes terror in its heart. But no matter how hard it struggles, it can't free itself from the crocodile. The crocodile is trying to drag the gnu into the water again. The gnu will lose more power in the deep water. The crocodile is the smartest and most patient animal among large reptiles. Using all the strength left in it, the gnu steps on the ground with its foreleg. On the ground, the gnu has an advantage. The crossroads of life and death. It's a desperateness that can't be shared with anyone else. Its companions give up hope. They begin to leave one after another. The gnu begins to fight back more desperately, but it only makes it worse. When the gnu loses its balance, the crocodile gains the upper hand. The gnu is being dragged further into the water. The time to give up its life is drawing near. But at the last moment, the crocodile becomes exhausted and gives up. It was a life or death struggle for 30 minutes. Sometimes the instinct to survive is stronger than any power in the world. is quiet again as if nothing happened. This peace will not be broken for 1 year, until news come back. Hippos can be found anywhere there is a river, lake, swamp, or water in the Serengeti. Hippos live in groups, and as many as 100 hippos live together in a place near water during the dry season. Hippos are known for the size of their mouths, but they are better known as great divers. They can stay underwater for as long as 5 minutes. Hippos spend much time in the water to prevent their skin from drying up from the scorching sunlight. This one blows its smell in the faces of others. It's protesting that they are in its territory. Hippos are very exact about their territory. Two Tommies step into the territory not knowing about the territorial division, and a hippo attacks one of them immediately. The other Tommy is also attacked. The intruders are killed. Hippos will attack anything that steps into their territory, whether a lion or a man, but they are peace-loving animals that usually feed only on grass. News migration paths include a region covered with dense forest. Taking a good rest under the cool shade of trees, it is the joy of the journey that they haven't had for a long time. After a quick break, news begin to move again. They move up to 16 kilometers a day. The news move in a group of hundreds or thousands, and this parade extends up to 40 kilometers sometimes. The giraffe's neck is about 2 meters long, but it has only 7 bones, just like humans. With a long neck and a long tongue that it can extend 50 centimeters, giraffes can easily get to leaves other animals can hardly reach. Baboons also live in the acacia forest, like giraffes, and they are busy eating up fruit of sausage trees. Young baboons live on their mother's milk until they are 8 months old. Young baboons begin to ride on their mother's backs in a unique way as early as 6 weeks after their birth. Another animal that loves trees is the savanna monkey. It's easy to find savanna monkeys picking lice from each other's hair all around the Serengeti. They are the most common monkeys in East Africa. The mongoose is a type of animal that lives in the rocky areas around the savanna. In the bush, beside the rock, a rock hyrax is enjoying a meal. A mongoose family and the rock hyraxes are living in groups around this rock. A rock hyrax raises its younglings in the crack of a rock and feeds on bushes and leaves. The younglings love to take a sunbath on their mother's back. There are many different natural environments, such as rocks, grass, and trees, and over 500 different species in the Serengeti. Gnus begin their journey in groups of hundreds, and they join other groups on the way, forming a huge group of thousands and millions, which cover the savanna in black. It's been 4 months since they started their journey north. They reached the Mara River in the borderland between Tanzania and Kenya. The place on the opposite side of the river is their final destination. But for the Gnus, there is a huge barrier. It's the 30-meter wide Mara River. They need to cross it to get to their final destination. The dark wave of Gnus quickly crowds the riverside. The sound of the rough stream discourages them, but they can't give up now after the long journey. The leader steps forward. It estimates the current and the breadth of the river. While the leading party is held back in front of the river, more Gnus keep coming into the riverside. The leader braces itself again and tries to find the narrowest spot of the river. Finally, the leader makes a decision, but is discouraged as soon as the cold water hits its jaw. The herd seems to wait for the leader to jump into the water. Trying for a third time, the leader begins to swim and sits down quietly, keeping enough distance to show the wind. Following their leader, all of the Gnus begin to rush into the water. And it was a look at first the subtle silence between the two and takes action. Following the instinct handed down in their blood for the last 2.5 million years, the Gnus challenged the rough streams to friendly the local, strong and flying birds. In no time, studying in space and avoiding thousands of ships crossing the river through rough waves are one of the greatest spectacles on Earth season that changed. A local went out to patrol alone. He looks around carefully to see any trace of intrusion from the outside. But his enemy wasn't outside of his territory. Him follows a local, but he turns away his face. While they continue to march forward using all of the stores remaining among the male chimpanzees, they can drift away at any moment if they run out of energy. Alofu also pretends as if he is there are already some 1,000 thoughts are crowding in his mind. There are also some
he has to decide whether to
follow
follow
back to reclaim their power.
And in the center of it
was none other than Pim.
He riots more wildly than
Those who
usual,
march
and other chimpanzees
be
are
rewarded
also
for the fruits
agitated.
of their labor.
They are overpowered by his behavior and decide to stand by him.
Ground is covered with carpet.
After hesitating for a long time,
The local
finally decides. His choice was submission. The situation had become already uncontrollable when Alofo came back. Seeing that Alofo has no intention to fight,
the river
he
is
began to blame Alofo,
but they still have to fight
with the alpha male like
It's
he
shallow,
usually
but the
did.
current is so fast that they can drift away if they miss their step.
His gestures rather suggested a silent but enormous threat. Alofo needed collaborators to stop him, but no one stood forward. It's the moment they put an end to their power struggle. Pim seizes the opportunity and attacks other male chimpanzees randomly to war. The former alpha male Alofo becomes into a pandemonium in just a moment. Alofo's attitude changed clearly after that day. He lowers himself whenever he sees Pim and expresses friendship. Then Alofo is about to fight. He can't believe what is happening before his eyes.
All around the river, vultures, the scavengers of the savannah, are excited to have a feast.
Change took place in a flash.
The long
Alofo
line
was driven out, and he has given up
arriving all
all
along the river.
This place is even more dangerous. And they need more courage. It was unexpected freedom. The crocodiles have been looking for a chance to begin hunting. He can now eat his food with peace of mind, and he doesn't have to be on alert to patrol the forest
are able to
anymore.
cross the river because of its sacrifice. Thousands of gnus have crossed the river safely with the sacrifice of just a few gnus. And there are some gnus returning from the leading herd. They lost their family while crossing the river. He doesn't have to feel restless about challenges for power. Mothers that have lost their younglings are worried. Younglings look for their mother. He doesn't have to worry about the commotion among male chimpanzees in the forest. Mothers and younglings are frantically looking around to find their families among newly arriving gnus. There is nothing that stops this grand march. They would run down a precipice as deep as 5 meters without hesitation. Now, on the other hand, Pim is weighed down with uneasiness and is in fear all the time. For that reason, Pim goes around the forest with his hair on end all day. A young gnu missed its step while jumping down the cliff. Pim becomes the symbol of fear among the chimpanzees of Mahale. The mother comes back looking for her youngling through the slope beside the precipice. For the fear of other males challenging him, he shows off his power unnecessarily many times. The mother and the child are left alone here. If they don't hurry and join the herd on the other side of the river, they can become prey to beasts.
A leader needs strength, tolerance, and strategy, but Pim only has an aggressive temperament.
Crossing the river alone takes much more courage. The mother hesitates but begins to lead the way.
The male chimpanzees that follow Pim and Olofu also feel uncomfortable watching him at a distance. Because Pim's rage can explode toward them at any time.
To make things worse, the river begins to swell with the passing rain.
Olofu hides himself behind the rock.
But for some reason, the crocodile gives up in the middle of the struggle.
But it was like a mirage that didn't last forever.
The new has survived by the skin of its teeth, but the leg bitten by the crocodile is completely broken. The pain is extreme, and that it could bring about shock, but the mother continues to move forward. The only thing ahead is her young.
Pim, the subjugator, spends every day in fear.
But the herd is getting further away from her.
The dark side of power. Somewhere in the forest of Mahalaya, young male chimpanzees are building up their strength every day to prepare for the fight over power.
But the pain and despair become a mortal wound for the mother. Just before the promised land, the mother had to abandon its journey. Finally, the final destination of the journey is in sight. It was such a long and tough journey. A new world with newly grown grass is just a few steps away. To come to this land, they have traveled for many hours, risking their lives. The news will stay here for a month, enjoying fresh grass, and return to the savanna of the Serengeti. After 1.5 million gnus and 250,000 zebras leave, the savanna of the Serengeti falls into calmness. After all the gnus leave, the Serengeti National Park Service sets a fire in the savanna. Each year, when the savanna dries up, large fires break out naturally, and the Park Service burns only grasses to protect the trees. After burning the grasses, harmful insects such as mosquitoes and flies will disappear and new grass will grow faster. The wilds of the Serengeti have been preserved with the help of these delicate efforts. The savanna of the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater were originally the Maasai tribe's territory. Ngorongoro is a huge crater that is about 30 kilometers square large. It is surrounded with a 600-meter tall cliff. A number of wild animals are preserved, so it is called the department store of animals. As one of the most invaluable resources for the human race, the value of its preservation was recognized, so the place was designated as a nature preservation area in the early 1950s. Following that, the park authorities moved the Maasai tribe that lived inside the crater to outside of it. Maasai culture involves the custom of warriors hunting lion to prove their bravery. Today, lion hunting is prohibited, but their custom still remains a ritual. The warriors leading the hunting party jump as high